Welcome to Static Model Mayhem. On this episode, we'll be applying a light wash over the superstructure, both on the vertical and horizontal surfaces. For this, we're going to be using Tamiya's panel line accent color, gray, for the vertical ones, and brown for the horizontal. When I'm applying washes, I have this theory. What you want to do is create a shadow effect at the bottom and a light effect at the top. So in that method, you have a shadow, the midpoint, the mid-color, mid-tone, and the light, the highlights. Highlights are mostly done with airbrushing. So let's start applying our wash. I have placed the superstructure on a cardboard piece for safety reasons. I don't want to have any spills on my desk. So as you can see, we're going upside down. We're applying it from the bottom. Each and every piece of detail. It's a small scale, 1 to 350, so that's why I'm not slapping it all over the place. Just a touch will do. I've used the same technique on my curtain wire build, so you can also check that video as well. Aiming for the vertical details to be highlighted. From the bottom. In addition to that, I have unmasked all the windows. For these ventilation pieces, we're going to be using black panel line. Also, before applying the wash, the whole superstructure has been treated with an acrylic satin varnish, just in case. To avoid any damage to the existing paint job, which took quite a few masking, unmasking, repairing and repairing again between the red deck color and the gray superstructure color. Slowly but surely we're getting there. And we're going to leave this one dry for about 10-15 minutes or so. I'm not using a very dark gray because the main color is already, I would say, somewhere between blue and gray, so I don't want a very big contrast. Tend to be very light-handed with my weathering. So All of these are Cold War ships. Yeah, granted, they might be on patrol for about a few weeks or a month, but as a personal preference, I don't enjoy watching a rust bucket from my display shelf. So, yeah, you might argue it's unrealistic, but sometimes realism has to give its way to optical pleasure. There are quite a few doors on this ship. Let's see. The small details and fittings will get the same treatment. And I've forgotten to unmask these windows here, but it will be done in due course. You might argue that pinwashing is a form of cheating in hiding some paint mishaps, or as Bob Ross would say, happy accidents. It's a process. I find it quite relaxing. And when you're applying a pin wash, you see all the details popping up. It's amazing. See every tiny detail. I'll fix that. Don't worry about it. I'll fix this discoloration. And again, we'll continue applying our wash. Some places more heavy-handed than others. Because why not? Include some variants. I don't want it to be too uniform, to be honest with you. I want some variation. I might give it an oil dot filter afterwards. But first, let's see how our pin wash goes, and we'll take it from there. This ship's superstructure is almost as large as a corvette. It's humongous. That's what she said. Yeah, I don't want it to be. I don't want to go too heavy-handed. Just want to bring out the details. There are quite a lot of doors on this ship, I can tell you that. Right. I might have forgotten these vents right here. That's what we can do. And this might be a bit difficult to be caught on camera, but I think that you get the idea. We'll be cleaning this up after about 10-15 minutes or so with cotton swabs and some turpentine. But first, we have to apply it. Same treatment will be given to all the fittings and minor superstructure elements which are on the pipeline at the moment. Don't want to leave out any door, any hatch, any ladder. I think we're good. Out with the gray, in with the brown. Or, now that I think of it, perhaps dark brown would be more fitting. Just give me a few seconds. Dark brown. This should be better. Let's see. Better. I'm more liberal on the deck because I can clean it a lot easier. These superstructure pieces. Oh. In fact, during an exhibition, one of the judges saw a pin wash and mistook it for a gap. That was quite funny. That was a really fun experience. We're covering all our sins. All the decks and balconies get the same treatment. There's a lot of balconies on this ship, or should I say vessel? Depends. I'll have to look. I think I'm a bit heavy-handed on that, but we'll survive, and the model will survive too. We're getting there. I hope I haven't missed anything on this side. No, I think these two tiny platforms can be. Platform. Yeah, just give it a bit. Now we can cover this one. And again, when we put coverage here, I might have to paint over it. Oh well. And here, I found a few gaps in some pieces of the superstructure, and I just couldn't be asked to repaint them for the 5th time, so I will go and repair it after the paint wash has been completed. Yeah, well, good. It's lovely. Paint washing is one of the most cost-effective and immediate results you can have on a model, as it brings out all the details, makes it a lot more three-dimensional. Well, you just have to apply a satin varnish underneath, an acrylic satin varnish, so your enamel washes don't interact with the paint. So, when you reach the stage of pin washing, you can say that specific part of your model, or in some cases the entirety of your model, is 60 to 70% completed, which is the case here, as we've got all the fittings almost ready to go. Almost ready to go. The hull needs a bit of work. Talking about the overall state of our build. Hull needs a bit of work. Fittings need a pin wash. Some minor corrections. But it's coming along nicely, I have to say. Right, we'll leave this to dry and take all its gases out for the next 10 minutes, and I'll catch you later. Sanding, 20% filling, and 30% everything else, at least in my opinion. Good. Next. Come on. Sorry about that. Phone pinging at the wrong time, but it happens. it. Just a bit more to the vertical. There. Yeah, good enough, I would say. Let's place its little brother or sister, depends which gender you prefer, on the other side, like so. The almighty Tamiya extra thing almost never disappoints. Almost. Yes. Fantastic. Q34 both sides is done. Next we're going for Q67. Q67. Q67 U. This goes where exactly? Q67 there. And that's what happens with those platforms. Q67 once. Q67 going twice. Let's clean this up a bit. Very, very nice. Very nice. Very good, very nice. Coming along very nicely, and we're getting there slowly. As soon as we finish, as soon as we finish platforms, a layer of satin varnish on the superstructure. Let it cure for about 24 hours, and I'll be focusing on the deck. Very good, very nice. Q67 is done. Q67 is done. B21. B21. Come on, B21. Again, away from the piece or towards the sprue. Nice. This is going to be a bit tricky. I guess this was on the previous Kirov that I was building. Let's see now. Be careful of where I handle this. Something like that. Yes. Getting there. Platforms are going. If we stick to the plastic, please. Come on. Not gonna bother with sink marks at the bottom of this platform. Just find it counterproductive. I mean, who's gonna notice that? Not a lot of people. Probably only if you're a judge on a more scale model competition and you want to, you know, be a very special person. Yeah. I said, not planning to go on any competitions in the foreseeable future, so have B5, so that's B11 on top. B5 goes on the starboard side. Let's see how big the mask is. Could be better, could be worse. See those sink marks? Not gonna deal with them. Pointless. Pointless, I tell you. B5 is ready. Let's get B11 ready. We unmask it successfully first. Come on. And welcome back. While I was cleaning the excess enamel paint, I've discovered some issues with the main superstructure on a few points, like here where I had to scrape the paint off basically. We have another issue right there. And wherever you see these white marks are from Vallejo's plastic putty. I've discovered a few gaps on the superstructure which have been covered. It's a minor setback, but we'll get to it eventually. Nothing major. Staircase has been torn off. We need to pre-prime this area. Also here, I'm not sure if you can see it, and some minor gaps and issues that will be addressed. Anyway, let's continue in removing excess enamel paint from the other two pieces of superstructure. Oh, and by the way, a few platforms dropped off. They will be glued again. But for now, let's get ourselves some odorless enamel thinner, regardless of brand. And our goal, let me get a piece of paper towel. Our goal is to remove excess enamel and oil paints from the top, right? For example, right here. So we're getting a paintbrush, dip it on paint thinner, and again I'm using the upside down technique. I want to have shadows at the bottom of the raised detail, but not from the top. So let's get on with it. So far the build is going nicely. I must say, sometimes a lot smoother than I was expecting, despite the fact that I had to scratch build a few details that dear trumpeter hasn't included in the kit for the Kirov variant. From the bottom I'm dragging the paint downwards, so I get at least some form of streaking, like so. Don't want to remove it completely, I just want a hint of streaks from the lower parts of the superstructure. If it's excessive, you can always come up with some enamel thinner and clean it. If it's too much, I'm just going to clean it. For example, right here, I want these lines well defined. I'm not using too much of thinner, as you can observe, just a touch. Just a touch to keep the whole thing manageable. Don't want to clean it completely, and I also don't want to have something excessive. After all, this is 1 to 3/50th scale warship and not a 1 to 35th scale tank or vehicle or whatever. Again, just a bit of thinner to keep the juices going. Just a touch. What I'm trying to achieve on top of that is to avoid a uniform weathered look. I don't want it to be too uniform, just want some randomness on the streaks. And overall, very, very light weathering, very light weathering. I don't want it to be screaming as a derelict rust bucket. Just want some form of naval wear and tear on certain areas. I think we're done. Let me double check. Too much, don't flood it with thinner because you're going to remove everything. That's not what I'm after. something like that. That's the idea. Small point and moving it downwards. As you can see, we have a runoff on this area. I think I went way too generous with the enamel paint here, but we'll take care of it. If not, worst case scenario, a light mist coat of the gray color will equalize everything. It should be good. Okay, I'm trying to locate where I have an excess of enamel wash. I'm trying to smooth everything out. Now I'm going with a bigger brush. Again, same idea. I don't want it too uniform and I don't want it too clean. Want something in between with some focus on specific areas, like here, for example, like I showed you earlier. Right. This one's done. And we had some issues here as well, as you can see from the plastic putty on a couple of spots. This one's a smaller piece of superstructure. It's getting the same treatment. For this truss, what I have in mind is use a generous amount of Tamiya's black accent panel line to give the illusion that between these elements there's a proper gap in there. Admittedly, a dedicated photo etch set would have these in brass, but for the time being is rather too expensive for what it's offering, at least for my view. Now, what else we can do for this one? Let's try and smooth things out, shall we? Let's give it an overall coating. Try to smooth everything out. Not too much. And definitely not too little. Just try to manipulate it into a filter. A few selected areas. Sorry about that. Camera in my face. You're looking good. Weathering a ship is an ongoing process, as you can see. It's not just slapping on a paint wash and allegedly trying to wipe it off and call it done. You apply the wash, you let it sit for a good couple of days, I would say. Let it get all the gases out. Let the enamel paint degas. See what you have and make your corrections from there. For example, this piece here, I was way too heavy-handed in a few areas, but it's clean. It's only a plastic kit. It's not a matter of life or death. Just a plastic kit. Right, and with that, we're going to leave it here. We're going to leave it for now. Thank you for watching. I've discovered that I have to make quite a few corrections to the main superstructure before gluing it on the main hull. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Take care.